watching the Green Things Summit. I'm Tiffany Nielsen, and with me is Mats Samuelson from Triotos. How are you doing today, Mats?
I'm doing very well.
And Mats, can you tell us a little bit about your background and about Triotos?
Yeah, as you can see, I'm a bit of an older guy. I've been hanging around in telecommunications for quite some time, and see it evolve from fixed to mobile. And at the same time, I've seen the microelectronics revolution go from single processor chip to now you have complete systems on the chip for Internet of Things with connectivity and everything in it. So I'm actually a CTO for a company called Triotos. And we have developed a rapid onboarding platform for companies that want to develop IoT and not necessarily spend the millions of dollars in staffing. We base our platform around the Amazon Web Services IoT offering, IT Core, and associated services. And the reason we picked that is we viewed it as the market leader when we started a couple of years ago, and it still pretty much is.
Great, thank you so much. And Mats, can you also share a little bit about what some of the green initiatives businesses can leverage tools from Triotos for?
Well, if you're developing IoT applications and intend to address, green issues, typically, measurement and control, etc., uh, and you intend to use IoT, rather than doing it all on your own, you can go ahead and focus on your green applications. And as far as the plumbing, we have done about 80% of the plumbing that is needed. So it is a huge time saver, it's a money saver, and it also allows you directly to, on the Amazon platform, interact with advanced analytics application for machine learning and artificial intelligence and other things. So all of that is set up to develop applications that address green issues. And using us instead of doing it yourself just gets you there much quicker, and you can probably ignore some of the pitfalls involved in developing green applications.
And do you feel that using hyperscalers for IoT deployments is more green than, say, handling all of the development on their own?
Well, I mean, using a hyperscaler just means that you're using someone that has already done it, and also that is deployed on a hyperscaler platform like the AWS cloud. And obviously, this allows you to run, green applications, not only onesies and twosies, but looking at thousands of devices and worldwide. So the notion of using hyperscaling application like the cloud computing applications available for IoT is definitely an advantage.
Okay, great. And what do you feel edge computing's role is in sustainability?
Well, with edge computing, IoT, green IoT, and any IoT is all about applications. And the question is, uh, what is it that you want from the edge? Typically, it's type of IoT data. A lot of applications, when a company starts, they say, "Well, let's collect as much data as we can." And I can't tell you how many times I talk to customers or potential customers who are literally drowning in IoT data. The key when you develop any IoT application is to think, what's the business need for it? What is it you're trying to really implement? And what is it that your applications need from a data event and information perspective? And then the smart thing is to go ahead and look at the edge where computing capabilities are there, either in a gateway or directly on a device in form of a microcontroller, and then translate available data from sensors, for example, and translate that into meaningful information and get rid of 70 to 80% of the data that is generated at the edge. I'm just going to take you a simple example. If you're looking for a gas monitoring, for example, poisonous gas or even carbon monoxide dioxide, most of the time it's going to be the same, and all you need to really report is when it goes outside a particular threshold. And instead of looking at data once every minute, you probably may looking at it 3 or 4 times every 24 hours. So that's what edge processing does. But in order to implement that effectively, you need to know what you're looking for. You need to know what your applications are, and therefore have that drive as you go ahead and code what is happening at the edge.
Thank you, Mats. And what advice do you have for businesses that are looking to leverage edge computing?
Uh, again, I mean, I'm it's going to sound like a broken record here. Look at what the business applications you are looking for, and uh, then uh, IoT. You know, it's all about the thing, and the thing in IoT incorporates edge computing, and that thing can be implemented in many different ways. If you're a business that are going to use an existing thing from someone else, you need to take a look at what those capabilities are. How do you program them, and how do you, uh, make them work for your particular application? If you're developing it on your own, you need to take a look at, the type of chip technology, the modules that are out there, and also embedded board computing and the capabilities that are there. There's a lot, and it's a very crowded field. So you can spend some considerable amount of time trying to research it on your own. One of the things we do on the Triotos website is under resources. We have written quite a few blogs and white papers. I'm the author of many of them, and in order to help you go through this particular, uh, you know, getting to know the market. Now, we happen to be focused on using AWS, but our blogs are perfectly readable for any implementation you have in mind. And it will basically lead you through to look at what's important for your implementation. And then based on that, what decision should I make when I implement? I mean, finally, I mean, my email is on the website, and I'm perfectly willing to help companies starting whether they're going to become our customers or not by providing some solid advice.
And I believe there should be some links available on the summit and within the summit with information to find you and your company and to download some of your available resources. And in closing, I just want to ask Mats, there are several arguments out there for why edge may be greener. And I know you have some theories around Moore's Law. Can you tell us a little more about your thoughts on that? And is the edge greener? Is it the technology's getting better? What's really happening at the edge? And what will we see moving forward?
Well, if we look at green as power consumption, and that's very, how many milliamps do you draw? Obviously, Moore's law will improve things dramatically year by year by year. It's only actually less than 4 years ago when it finally became feasible to create a battery-powered IoT device that can connect through the mobile network, and if it communicates once a day, you can have a battery life for 5 years. That is again very recent. It's less than 4 years ago, and these type of changes happen. The most recent one is the introduction of 5G technology, whereby you can do the same thing via satellite. So obviously, from a power consumption perspective, if you look that as green, things are getting greener. But as I mentioned before, it's the applications that are important, and it is how you implement those. And power consumption is typically not the first thing you think about when you develop an IT solution, unless you are dependent on battery power. And that, that pretty much decides what you can and cannot do. But otherwise, as far as green technology, there's a whole infrastructure of companies providing sensors and all sorts of capabilities that address particular green issues with monitoring of gases and other types of environmental monitoring. I should finally say that many people, when they think about green applications, really are thinking about control systems. Now, IoT is not a real time environment, so typically you don't use it for direct control, for example, of generators or power plants or something like that. But you can obviously provide enhanced knowledge and insight and use that insight to drive how you use these things. So, from that perspective, uh, you can use the edge computing within a green environment. I actually am in the process of publishing a blog which is available on our website, which basically makes a case for edge computing in IoT. And there I kind of go through what it does, how you use it, and I also address the green aspects of it.
We've got a few minutes left. Do you want to share a little bit about what's in that article and about how companies can leverage a company like Triotos for their IoT initiatives?
Yeah, sure. One of the first things I tend to do in blogs and is to don't think about the technology, and then I spend 50% talking about the technology. But the reason for doing that is that you really have a smorgasbord of capabilities available today. And one of the things I do in this latest blog is I talk about, there are two types of edge computing, two categories. One is the kind of microcontroller level, single chip level, and the other one is traditional embedded boards. And both of them are very viable for Internet of Things solutions, and they offer dramatically different capabilities. So on the one hand, you end up programming things or have a company program them for you in using C and other languages. And in the other case, with embedded boards, you are pretty much are buying into an infrastructure of available software modules. Some of those are open sourced, so that you can implement simple machine learning and artificial intelligence and all sorts of advanced data processing, statistical analysis, and stuff like that. And I just provide some examples of that. The final comment I make is that there are among the leading suppliers of cloud computing IoT platforms. They actually have their own offerings, or they started by offering themselves and then they have open sourced it. So if we take Amazon as an example, they have a free real-time operating system which is IoT oriented, solves a lot of IoT processing issues, security, and other stuff. And it's something called free RTOS. And they also, for the larger computing, they have what is called an IT agent, something called greengrass. And greengrass, you can go ahead and implement machine learning capabilities distributed in the field, and they can basically provide information to your cloud computing instance and incorporate that in the bigger machine learning capabilities. So what I try to do is to kind of lay out all the different variations of it, and then really it gets down to sit down and look at what it is your business are looking for, what are the applications, what are you trying to solve, and then you just need to talk to a good architect and say, okay, this means we should do this in edge computing, and it will also mean we shouldn't be doing this in edge computing. For example, collecting all the information that's there. That's really dumb, but unfortunately very common. So that's just an example of how you go through this process, and yeah, involve as many business functions as possible. I'm a big proponent of proof of concepts. Our platform allows a company to do a POC, in weeks and months instead of spending years before things are out there. So you could show it to users, you can show it to sales, you can show it to customers, and you kind of know what you're doing before you embark on the longer term, 3 to 6 months implementation using a company like ours, or if you decide to do it on your own, which takes typically 1.5 years.
And it does take that long because I've gone through this before with another company I worked with. So I can definitely speak from experience that using your method would definitely streamline development. So thank you so much for joining me today, Mats. And for anyone looking for more information from Triotos, please see the links that we have available or visit triotos.com. Thank you so much, Mats.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Have a great day. Bye bye.